I just want to let y'all know right now that I did not read the novel that this film is adapted from, but I do have a basic understanding of its popularity with the art style and overall story premise. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I watched a couple videos going over the novel and it seems like something that I would totally be into, the aesthetic. But let's just give this movie a chance on its own.
No offense.
Get it all the time.
I honestly don't think this movie is as bad as everyone is making it out to be. But don't mistake that as me defending the film, saying that it's actually good and, you know, it has some kind of semblance of story and characterization. No, it doesn't have any of that. Sorta. I just think a lot of the hate generating around this movie is because of Millie Bobby Brown, the Russo brothers, and Netflix. A combination that has unfortunately created this gigantic mess, especially with the publicity. Holy shit. Netflix, because it's Netflix. They are constantly canceling shows, pouring in money into new shows that no one gives a fuck about, greenlighting some of the worst projects ever, canceling some of the best projects ever. I mean, when the hell is Stranger Things Season 5 coming out? The Russo brothers. Man, this is just sad. I mean, with these guys, the guys who gave us Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, how the hell are they just going on this steep downhill path of theirs, man? I mean, what's going on? It's like what everyone's been saying on the internet. These guys are very much studio men, the guys that can't really write or do their own thing. They need someone, some producers, executives, big people like Marvel and Disney in order to control their projects, give them good scripts, and have someone watching whatever they're doing and make sure that everything's all good. I'm not saying that all of their non-MCU projects have been complete clusterfucks, but it's very clear that these guys need some more management, some help by other folks who can help push them in a better direction. These guys are fantastic directors, and our high expectations for these guys has been pretty detrimental to their non-MCU projects. Millie Bobby Brown. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say, I think she needs to just disappear for a good 3 to 5 years, okay? Disappear from the public's eye. She's a prime example of someone that just got Hollywoodized way too soon in her career, especially at such a young age. Way too famous and way too sexualized, thus developing a very ignorant and arrogant perspective on the world and posting a lot of dumb shit on the internet. Girl needs to grow up, put everything behind her, disappear for a while, and then when you come back, show the world that you have grown, that you've changed. You know, let the world forget about the past you. And let's be honest here, it seems like Netflix are the only people keeping her around. She just needs to get the fuck out of all of this mess. The Electric State takes place in the 90s where robots exist to fulfill duties for humanity. But unfortunately, they developed a conscience and wanted to be treated fairly, equally as a people, as living beings. So after a devastating war where the robots were winning initially, humans created a new technology called the Neurocaster that allowed them to basically link up with a robot machine controlled by a human being. This newfound technology turned the tides of the war and allowed them to broker a peace amongst each other. Humanity created the exclusion zone, a place where all robots must go and they can live peacefully there and not interfere with human life anymore. And as long as humans and robots stay on their side of the wall, the peace shall maintain. That is until Millie Bobby Brown enters the picture and needs to go into the exclusion zone in search of her brother. Well, actually her brother's real body, because he's currently being detained somewhere that they don't know. But he managed to link himself virtually to the Cosmobot, which is how this whole story and mission is happening. Harboring or aiding robots is a crime, so Millie Bobby Brown must make haste in hopes of finding her brother. First, let me get the positives out of the way here, because there's honestly not that many. The production of this film is insane. I mean, you've all seen the numbers, $320 million. Holy shit. And wow, I'd say money well spent, kinda, because this is, by all means, a very, very good looking movie. From the VFX to the practical effects to the sets themselves, this movie looks fucking awesome, man. It looks so goddamn good. You can straight up tell that they put a whole bunch of money into this movie. I'm surprised this didn't get a release in theaters, because this is the kind of theater experience, I'm not gonna lie. This production is insane, and the fact that they managed to pull in so many A-list actors on top of that, wow, there's something to praise here. I mean, let me just read it off of Google here. Chris Pratt, Ke Huy Quan, Stanley Tucci, Anthony Mackie, Woody Harrelson, Giancarlo Esposito, Jenny Slate, Coleman Domingo, and a whole bunch of other folks who are just as amazing that don't really get that big of a role, but you know, they're connected to this project, so yeah, well, it is one of the most generic films of their year with little to no substance. There is barely any world or character development here. When it tries to have emotional moments, they just don't work. When our characters apparently have some arc, if that's what they want to call it, it is just not rewarding. Nothing about this movie is satisfying because nothing is set up in order for this arc that supposedly happened to actually feel like it happened at all. This movie is just filled with conveniences. No one ever really figures anything out. Millie Bobby Brown needs someone's help to get into the exclusion zone. Well, coincidentally, her foster parent buys stuff from a guy who gets things from the exclusion zone. And somehow she manages to find the right place at the right time on the right day when Chris Pratt the smuggler shows up to lead her into the exclusion zone. Well, not exactly lead her there. She kind of just hops into the back of his truck. I did enjoy the relationship between Chris Pratt and Herman, the robot that's friends with Chris Pratt. The chemistry between them was pretty solid, and I found myself chuckling at a couple moments. While minimal, the movie did have some moments of greatness, okay? I'm gonna be honest here. There were some scenes that just had me like, you know, that's not bad. Some of the development between Millie Bobby Brown and her character's brother, the relationship there, was kinda good, but I still didn't really care since the movie didn't care to develop it before everything that's happening in the movie. Beyond those moments though, the majority of this script just needs to be fucking revised at least 3 or 4 more times, because this feels like a first or second draft. Every step of the way of our character's journey, convenience after convenience, a person has a change of heart and decides to help Millie Bobby Brown because, well, it's the good thing to do. And let me tell you something, man, there are just parts that were just comically offensive to me. I mean, how they handled Ke Huy Quan in this movie? What the fuck was that? What? This whole movie is just offensively generic with twists and turns that are never satisfying. How in the hell did this movie land in the hands of the Russo brothers? How much did Netflix offer these guys to direct this horrendously written movie? Yes, the irony of the themes and story that is presented throughout this entire film is not lost on me, and it is an interesting concept, but it's not like it's something we haven't seen before. Overall, critically, like I said, this is a nothing sandwich. There is nothing memorable about this movie. It's not a total dumpster fire that everyone is making it out to be. It's just nothing special. This movie just sucks. It is completely predictable every single step of the way. There is not a single surprise in sight. Then again, if you're not looking for anything too deep and just want to eat some popcorn and watch something to kill time, or you just want to turn it on as background noise to hang out with some homies, it'll work. Will you forget about it? Absolutely. The story here is on par with the Avatar series. I don't think anyone is gonna remember anything about this film other than the fact that it exists and that Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt were in the movie together that was directed by the Russo brothers, produced by Netflix. Fortunately, Avatar will be remembered because it features a lot of tall blue people. Alright, sorry for yapping so long. That's enough of me. I'll catch you guys next time.
Broadcasting live right now from your mom's house.